All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Pick it up in the 5th chapter of John and the 39th verse. And we will search the scriptures. For in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. But another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my word? So, blessings to everybody. In the name of the only begotten Son, to the esteem of our Father in heaven. Let's take a trip. Proverbs Chapter 26. We'll still reference back to some of the stuff that we got in Song of Solomon. But we still got a lot of things, a lot of places to go, a lot of things to do. But we will begin in Proverbs Chapter 26 because this caught my attention. So we're just going to go ahead and roll with it. As a matter of fact, we can roll with it all the way down. Most of the things at the bottom of Proverbs 26 we have done in the past, but I can rehash them if need be right now. So Proverbs 26 and 18, as a madman who casts firebrands, arrows, and death, so is the man that deceives his neighbor and say, am not I in sport? Where no wood is, there the fire go out. So where there is no talebearer, strife cease. As coals are to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. He that dissemble with his lips and lay up deceit within him, when he speak fair, believe him not. For there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. Whoso dig a pit shall fall therein, and he that roll a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue hates those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. Now, why did we do all of that? I want you to swing back to Ezekiel 31 and chapters 31 and chapters 32, because we looked at some things. You can come to 32 right now off the top. You can come back to 32 and 28. Matter of fact, because we were reading these things in here about these wicked nations that were mentioned, and that's why we're coming over here. And if it's not apparent to you, it will be apparent by the time we get to Proverbs 26 is referring to Judas, and like I said, we've done some of that towards the tail end of that chapter before, but we shall rehash it again this day. You can pick it up in Ezekiel 32 and 20. They shall fall in the midst of them that are slain by the sword. She is delivered to the sword, draw her and all her multitudes. The strong among the mighty shall speak to him out of the midst of hell with them that help him. They are gone down, they lay uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Asher is there and all of her company, so graves are round about him. All of them are slain and fallen by the sword, whose graves are set in the sides of the pit. Her company is round about her grave, and all of them that are slain, fallen by the sword, which caused terror in the land of the living. There is Elam and all her multitudes round about her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, which are gone down uncircumcised, into the neither parts of the earth, which caused their terror in the land of the living. And have they borne their shame when they go down into the pit. They have set her bed in the midst of the slain with all her multitude. Her graves are round about him, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, though their terror was caused in the land of the living, yet they have borne their shame when them that go down to the pit. He is put in the midst of them that be slain. There's Meshach and Tubal, and all her multitude, her graves round about him, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, though they cause their terror in the land of the living. And they shall not lie with the mighty that are fallen of the uncircumcised, which are gone down to hell with their weapons of war. They have laid their swords under their heads, but their iniquity shall be upon their bones. Though they were the terror of the mighty of the land of the living, yet shall they be broken in the midst of the uncircumcised, and shall lie with them that are slain with the sword. There's Edom, her kings, and all her princes, which are in the might, are laid down by them that are slain by the sword, with them that go down into the pit. There be the princes of them of the north, all of them of the Zidonians, which are gone down with the slain with the terror. They are ashamed of their might. They lie with the uncircumcised, with them that be slain by the sword. They bear their shame with them that go down in the pit. Pharaoh shall see them, and shall be comforted over all his multitude, even Pharaoh, and all his army shall be slain with the sword, saith Yahuwah Elohim. For I have caused my terror in the land of the living. He shall lay in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that are slain with the sword, even Pharaoh and all his multitude, saith Yahuwah Elohim. Now, I read all of these nations, and just to go back to all of those nations that were mentioned, you had Assyria, you had Elam. Let me reference Elam. Elam is a Hamite nation, if my memory serves me correctly. You have Meshach and Tubal, which are some Gentiles. And then you got good old Edom, and then it ends with good old Pharaoh. Good old Pharaoh. Let's make sure that we can understand this plainly, because we need to do it like we need to do it. You can get you Exodus chapter 6, if you would. Elam means eternity. Means eternity. So with Elam, you have this here. This is a man who is some returned back with some people from Zerubbabel, a chief of the that was there with Nehemiah, a Levite. When you look at Elam here, what we have here on this one here is this is a son of Shem, and you have Israelites, if you will. So excuse me for that. That's what you got right there with Elam. So I just want y'all to think about all of that, because now that's going to shift something a little bit. So let's go over here to Exodus chapter 6 so we can move rather swiftly and garner everything that we need to garner. And this is because we're talking about Pharaoh, and Pharaoh is being referenced in Ezekiel 32. I need you to come up here to Exodus chapter 6 and verse 1. So hold on. Are you going to play with Play-Doh, or are you going to eat your food? Let's see, there's still food on the plate. Okay, but there's still food on the plate. See, what is that in your hand? So there's still food on the plate. Get a napkin and wipe your mouth. Look horrible. Exodus 6 and 1. Then Yahuwah said unto Moses, now shall you see what I shall do to Pharaoh. With a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand he shall drive them out of his land. Elohim spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am Yahuwah. I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, unto Jacob by the name of Elohim. But by my name Yahuwah was I not known, or El Shaddai, but by my name Yahuwah was I not known to them. I've also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. I've also heard the groanings of the sons of Yasharah, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the sons of Yasharah, I am Yahuwah. I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will rid you out of their bondage. I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with great judgments. And I will take you for me a people, and I will be to you Elohim, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim, which bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you into the land concerning which I did swear to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will give to you for an inheritance. I am Yahuwah. Moses spake unto the sons of Yasharah, but they hearkened not unto Moses for anguish of ruah and cruel bondage. Now, I believe that's chapter 5 also, that he said that he raised up Pharaoh for this specific cause, to show forth his power. I want you to come over here to Romans, what that is, 9. Let me look at something in Exodus real quick. When you look at burdens, right, you have Sibylla, which is your burden, forced labor, or compulsory service. So, of course, this is slavery. When you take into account what the text says in John chapter 8, that he that commits sin is the servant of sin or a slave to sin, you can sit back and see of how you have been in bondage under the burdens of sin, if you would, and that you are crying out. You won't listen to the word because of the anguish of Ruach and the cruel bondage of which you have. When we look at cruel, it is kashal. It means you have severe, rigorous, hard, difficult bondage. Remember, it tells you in the book of Proverbs, I won't say about the 13th chapter, that the way of transgressors is hard. So it seems like that when you are in hard bondage under the burdens that you are, it is very difficult for you to listen. Which takes us back to the instance of when he tells you that he that is in the flesh cannot serve Elohim, because those that are in the flesh cannot please him, because the flesh is not subject to the law of Elohim, neither indeed can be. When you look at what your ancestors cried about in the wilderness, they cried to go back to the bondage because the sin was all that they knew. Should give you a little inkling back into no man desires new wine straight away, because he says the old is better. That parable of the new wine in Luke 5 is akin to what you've seen happen to your forefathers in the wilderness. They didn't want the new wine because they said straightway the old wine is better. It's better. So you got to think about that. Why is it better? What makes it better? Why do you desire it? Why do you want it so badly? You only want it so badly because you've become accustomed to it. See, you've been accustomed to living a particular type of way, dwelling in a particular type of sin. And this is going to come back when we go back and look at Assyria and Elam and Edom and Meshach and Tubal and Pharaoh. Because we're talking about Pharaoh here. You could get this Romans 9. Let me get on around that to it. You become accustomed to serving or living in a particular way. You don't want to change. See, human beings are creatures of habit, and human beings do not like to change. Human beings like to stay the same and do the same things. Change is difficult. Even when what you're changing from is detrimental to your soul. A lot of us like to stay in destruction. It's easier that way. Like to wallow in our sorrows and things of that nature. But sometimes you just have to get up, turn around, and go a different way. We can pick this up in Romans chapter 9 and verse 15. Thank you for completing that. I appreciate it. Romans 9 and 15. For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not him that will, nor of him that run, but of Elohim that show mercy. For the scripture say unto Pharaoh, for even this same purpose have I raised you up, that I might show my power in you, that my name might be declared throughout the earth. Matter of fact, that was the wrong chapter I was in. You could go to Exodus 9 so you could see where that come from in the context of everything around it. I want you to pick it up at verse 13. Exodus chapter 9 and verse 13. Yahuwah said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh, and say unto him, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of the Abarim, let my people go that they may serve me. Pause. Again, I referenced it, John 8, on general principle. John 8 and 31. Then said Yahushua to those Yahudim which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then you are my disciples indeed. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So you will know the Amah, the Aman, the Amuna, the faithfulness of Elohim, and it will free you. See, many people don't know. They got to sit back and look at it, because this John 8:32 is one of the most misconstrued verses in the entire world that is used by people outside of the house of Elohim. Everybody, truth shall set you free. Like to use it with everything. But it's not being used in the context of the speaker who spoke it and the understanding of the speaker who spoke it. Now, you all know the word for truth is a move, a muna, and a man. And all of these things is the reliability, the faithfulness, the steadfastness of Elohim. So you know that when you know the steadfastness of Elohim, that faithfulness is going to free you. What is it freeing you from? The hard bondage which you served under Pharaoh, those burdens, if you will, that we just looked at, that forced labor. And he's coming to redeem you from this house of bondage with a mighty arm and a stretched out hand. That's some of the stuff we was looking at in Ezekiel 32. And then you've seen about all those men who were down with Pharaoh and their people who were bad with the uncircumcised. Now, we talked about uncircumcision and circumcision. It's forth as the circumcision without hands, or the removing of the body of sin with the circumcision of the Mashiach, which is a totally different concept. We've already discussed in months previous in Ezekiel 44 that nobody uncircumcised in heart or flesh will enter into the house of Elohim. Every single solitary person, as you're going to see, that will die the death on the day of the Lord is going to die that death because they were not circumcised. See, a lot of individuals press people about being circumcised in their penis, not understanding that the next circumcision was the next sign of the covenant. See, I had a conversation with some brothers, and they discussing stuff as forth as people taking tithes and this, that, and the third, but that matter is irrelevant. There was another brother in that conversation that mentioned that, oh, certain things are not abolished. When they're not understanding the gospel and the plan from the jump street. Why am I mentioning that? Because they were referencing the Levitical priesthood, more specifically, the high priesthood of Aaron. There is most of y'all already know, there is no more high priesthood of Aaron. That's over with, because that's flesh. Elohim is Ruach, and everyone who worships Elohim must worship him in Ruach and in truth. So a priesthood that is based off of flesh is worthless and useless when it comes to the tenets of everlasting salvation. It will not benefit or profit anyone in that endeavor. That is what a lot of individuals fail to understand, because we're not talking about flesh. Flesh perishes. See, anybody of the house of Aaron dies and you have to get another high priest. So we're not concerned with that. They have to make sacrifices for their own sin and then for the sins of the people. We're not concerned with that, because we have a high priest after the order of Melchizedek who can reign as high priest and king simultaneously, something that Aaron could not do. So not only can he rule in just judgment, but he can also make intercession and sacrifices on behalf of the people. This high priest has already made the sacrifice of himself for the sins of the people. There is no need for any other. So when we look at Genesis chapter 17 and you look at the covenant of circumcision given unto Abraham to be done in the flesh, that was a sign that you were belonging to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and therefore have a right into the inheritance. But a circumcision of the penis does not profit anyone as it pertains to the things of everlasting life. See, an individual who hates Elohim and thinks that they're just because they will hold fast to the law will say that this man says that you don't have to have your penis circumcised. And no one has said any such of a thing. But if you don't have the foreskin of your heart circumcised, you shall certainly perish and burn in hell. Because now the sign of the covenant has to be shown in your heart, meaning you have put off the body of sin and set that to the side with the circumcision of which no man can lay hands on you, to free you from the bondage of the flesh, i.e. death, because you have believed on Mashiach and henceforth have put that body away. Now, see, these are conversations that most of Hebrews do not want to have, because they're thinking that you're saying something when you're just saying the same thing that the word says, because we're looking at the perfect will and intent from Elohim from the beginning and seeking to be one with him, that we might have a right to an everlasting and eternal paradise, of which most of our brothers and sisters have no desire to dwell in. Let's continue. Verse 33 of the 8th chapter of John, they answered him, we be Abraham's seed, we've never been in bondage to any man. I'll say you shall be made free. Yahushua answered, truly, truly, I say unto you, whosoever commits sin is the servant of sin, and the servant abide not in the house forever, but the son abide forever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. See, most of our people, they don't want to be free. See, with freedom come responsibilities. With freedom comes sacrifice. Most people don't want to sacrifice, unfortunately. Back to Exodus chapter 9. 9 and 13. Yahuwah said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh and say unto him, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of the Abarim, let my people go that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all my plagues upon your heart and upon your servants and upon your people, that they may know that there is none like me in all the earth. See, let's look at something else. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. After 1 Corinthians 15, Hosea chapter 14. Alrighty then, that page is no longer present. It can't do no harm. 1 Corinthians 15 and 53. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your sting? O grave, where is your victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to Elohim who give us the victory through our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. So remember, right here, it says that he is going to drop these plagues on his heart. But they're asking, death, where's your sting? Grave, where is your victory? Come to Hosea chapter 13, I believe, is what I desire, not 14. I spoke too soon in saying 14. I need 13. 13 and 9. What I just said? No, I said stop. Hosea 13 and 9. Oh, Yasharal, you have destroyed yourself, but in me is your help. I will be your king. Where is any other that may save you in all your cities and your judges, whom you said, give me a king and princes? Now, of course, this is going to be more relevant because if you haven't figured out, we're going to be discussing the beast. What are you crying for? What? She doesn't want her hair to be. Oh, so you'd rather it be dirty and funky, dry and brittle, fall out, and they can call you the bald-headed girl. You certainly won't get a husband at that rate. You're gonna walk around here and your head will look like you have alopecia. Is that what you desire? To be the bald-headed pageant girl with alopecia? Very well then. Because of course we're going to be dealing with the beast, we're going to be dealing with Judas, going to be dealing with the nations, and yeah, all that type of stuff. So when it says any other, that is not present in that verse 10. That's not present in the text. So when it says that, it basically says, I will, or hey, Melech, Phao, Yasha. So he'll let you know that I will be the Malik that saves. If you didn't know that Yasha is to save or deliver. So that's what that says. Doesn't have it, is that where is any other that may save? There's no need for him to tell you that. He's letting you know that he is your king that is going to save you. He said, and your judges whom you said, give me a king and a prince. Now, of course, you know where that came from. That came from during the time of Saul. You were a king. And what type of king did you get? A non-believing king. See, that's the biggest thing what we got going on in this day and time. Boy, Yasharal ain't no different than a young woman. You can't pick, right? You send a young woman out here in the world, she gonna pick the wrong woman. picked the wrong man. Shoot, some of them picked the wrong woman. Around here getting stud daddies. Done gave them turn a stud step daddy. You mad with men, so the next thing you do, you bring a woman here who done taped up her titties, talking about her name is Earl. Jaquan. Your name Jaquisha. That's who you is. And that junk ain't, it might like say I'm making light, but I'm also being serious. Like this is what is going on. Like I say lately, you got a lot of people going back and forth, talking about picking that Sierra and Russell Wilson, why he getting called a simp because he love his wife, and all that stuff is just what you want to call it, a distraction about folly. You don't know them people, them celebrities. Whole time they could be married in public and be a homosexual behind the scene. Both of them, you don't know. Pansexuals and all of that. You have no idea because of the environment that they belong to. They're entertainers. That's Russell Wilson may play football, but at the end of the day, he's an entertainer. That is what he is. Professional sports is entertainment. You ain't figured that out, especially now that we have a 24-hour news cycle. That all these men on sports radio and all, come on, man, they call first take a debate show when really it's a gossip show about athletes. Undisputed is not a debate show, it's a gossip show about athletes. If you pay attention to what they're doing, they turn sports into entertainment. They turn sports into entertainment tonight. They bring on entertainers and musicians to come on there and promote their movies and records. And they throw sports in there around it. Come on, man. Triple H have been on these people's shows promoting WrestleMania. You think Lil Wayne really down with Skip Bayless, brand new movie coming out, and they want to promote it, they bring that actor on here, and they let him talk about his favorite sports team and all this other stuff. They're playing you. And you're talking about these people's lives as if they real. But we the conscious woke folks. Niggas lame. They lame, I tell you. They play on your intelligence because they know that you desire to live these people's lives. You want to be Sierra. That's why you got grown women. What was the prayer that Sierra prayed to get Russell Wilson? Well, if she made a prayer, baby, it came from Satan. Because it didn't come from Yahuwah. See, people want to hear that. Sierra is a sinner. Oh, he gave her a godly man. Well, how would he give her a godly man when Russell Wilson already been married and his wife is still alive? Pay attention if you know the word. Them people is in damnation. Ain't nobody be looking at that man's an adulterer. That man is going against the very word he say he believe in. Nobody want to have that conversation because you like the fact that he played football. Now, that's a brother who made a video and he made a point. Now that he's been dealing with Sierra, now his masculine energy getting sucked away because he's throwing his teammates under the bus, doing stuff he ain't never did. If you a leader of men, you don't talk about your offensive line can't block. You don't say that in public. And if it came out in public, guess who put it out there? He put it out there. Now, if you a leader, you look at it, what do niggas need to do? You do need to block, and they very well may do. But you don't throw your teammates under the bus when you're the leader of men and expect these men to look at you with respect and hearken to your word and follow you. And if you think that's the way to lead a group of men, you just show proof positive that you're not a leader of men. You can't throw your men under the bus and then go out into battle and expect them to fight for you. Why would they? You just told the whole world you felt like they was trash. That's not a masculine move. That's what hoes do. Oh, it ain't my fault. When anybody who watch football know Russell Wilson is the reason why he gets sacked so much because he runs around a lot, holds the ball too long, which is another feminine move because you're not taking accountability for your role in that. Better rather blame your men because my old lady told me to. You're Russell Wilson. Play with it if you want to. Be people playing you. But you'll find out if you ever see them people standing before the throne and you got to be the one to lay judgment on these people's head. I don't think it's a lot of people be willing to do that, to lay the judgment on the head of their favorite athletes and entertainers, that you might be the one to have to execute that judgment. Will that offend you? Will it offend you if you have to put a sword to your favorite rapper's head? Oh, you love Denzel Washington? What if you got to kill him? You got to think about it. Oh, that's a true story. Come over here to 1 Corinthians chapter 6. If you don't think that what I'm talking about is accurate for you, if that don't float your boat. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 1. If you didn't know, now you know. Dare any of you have the matter against another go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Well, let's look at Psalms 149 if you don't believe that you'll judge the world, because this is where he's getting it from, if you didn't know. And we still hold a whole chapter 13. I ain't got off the beaten trail. I just felt like sharing some additional information. Psalms 149, I shall read all of it. I don't read it as much as I used to, but when I do, it comes. Ain't that right, little muffin? You don't even know what I'm talking about. What am I talking about? Yeah, 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 yeah. Psalms 149 and 1. Hallelujah. Sing unto Yahuwah a new song, and his praise in the congregation of the Chesed. Let Yasharal rejoice in him that made him, and let the sons of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For Yahuwah take pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the Chesed be joyful in esteem. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Also, I want you to, when you see saints, I want you to be able to substitute saints with faithful, because that's what Chesed means. So he will beautify. So when he tells you that, boom, 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 we're backing this up at, right? Where was it at? The praise in the congregation of the faithful in verse 1. Or when you see that, say, let the faithful be joyful in his esteem. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Again, this is for the faithful. Let hallelujah, let the high praises Elohim be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his faithful. Hallelujah. Where you think Paul got it from? He letting you know, oh yeah, you're going to judge these people. Oh shoot, the psalmist has already told you that you're going to judge these people. So you have to sit back and look. Well, you might have to judge your own daddy. What about your best friend from middle school? Of course, I ain't talking to you later because you ain't judging nobody. You know what I'm talking about? You might have to judge your grandma. Maybe your own brother. See, that's when it get real right here. When now you got to look at people who you care about, and you got to be the one to administer the judgment. But what does our law say? But Deuteronomy 13. Because we're going to be talking about judgment. That's why I'm setting the stage. So, hey, man, if it offends you, I don't know what to tell you. Deuteronomy 13 and 12. You know what? 13 and 6. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend, which is as is your own soul. See, that's another thing that goes back to David and Jonathan, your friend being as your own soul. Just you keep that in mind. You ought to look at your friend as yourself. Entice you secretly, saying, let us go serve other gods which you have not known, you nor your fathers, namely the gods of the people which are round about you, near unto you or far off from you, from one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. You shall not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him, to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones that he died, because he sought to thrust you away from Yahuwah your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Israel from the house of bondage. Notice why he said, you ought to do it, because this person has sought to separate you from your God. And you were supposed to look at, I will not allow anyone to do that. So you thinking it's just randomly when he's told you exactly what it's for. They try to get you separated from me. So you'd rather cleave to somebody who's going to die and got to go in front of me, or cut off them and stay near to me. Because they trying to get you, and you don't even realize that's what's going on in the world with a lot of people who are out here. They trying to thrust people away from Yahuwah. Yasharal shall hear and fear and shall do. It's more so like this here. The lonely, bitter friend, whether male or female, that mad that you got a man or you got a woman, and they trying to separate you from your man and woman because they ain't got. See, godless people will seek to have you godless. That's why he says he's a companion of all those that fear him. That's why the companions hear his voice, and that's why we were looking at Songs of Solomon. What was that woman asked? Let me hear it. Cause me to hear it. But let's continue. If you shall hear say in one of your cities which Yahuwah Elohim have given you to dwell there, saying, certain men of the sons of Belial have gone out from among you and have drawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods which you have not known, then ye shall inquire and make search and ask diligently, and behold, if it be truth and the thing certain that such abomination is worked among you, you shall surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, the cattle thereof, with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all the spoil in the midst of the street thereof, and burn it with fire the city and the spoil, and everything with, for Yahuwah Elohim, and it shall be a heap forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall cleave none of the cursed thing in your hand, that you may turn from the fierceness of his anger and show mercy and compassion upon you and multiply you as he has sworn unto your fathers. Now, we're going to get to that in a moment. But just to give you a brief insight into that right now, that's why you're going to see the whole world get set on fire and everything in it. Because these people, these men of Belial, let me just go and do it now. Ain't no sense of playing. We were going to get there eventually. Let me go and do it now. We still got Hosea 13. Let's finish Hosea 13. Let's finish Hosea 13. But that's what we're here for anyway, is that whole matter. You want to know why that's in the law? That's why he going to set the world on fire at the end and burn everything up. You ain't taking none of that stuff. Burn it up. They've been worshiping other gods. That men of Belial been around them. Burn it up. Ain't going to get built again. Let me finish this Hosea 13. We're in verse 10. He said, I will be your king, whereas any other, that you may save in all your cities, and your judges whom you say, give me a king and prince. I gave you a king in my anger, and I took him away in my wrath. So you sit back and look at that the same way he did that with Yahushua, because he gave you a king in his anger. Go check Numbers 14. He wanted to slay you all as one man. He said, let me go ahead. We didn't talk about this verse before. Let me give you a king. And he took him away in his wrath, because the wrath of Elohim fell upon the son, that you might have a chance to be free. Wrath here in this instance is Evrah, and this is an outpouring, an overflow, an excess of fury, of wrath, an overflowing rage of fury, an outburst of passion and anger. It is Ayin, it is Bat, it is Rosh, and it is Hay. So you guess what? You can behold and you can know that Yahusha was set to death in the house, right there in Jerusalem, set him to death. You know it. He caught that wrath. That's why he told you that he hasn't appointed us to wrath, but under salvation, because the wrath fell on his son, so you wouldn't have to catch it. The iniquity of Ephraim is bound up, and his sin is hid. Y'all know Ephraim is to be truthful. He said he bound that up. When you got bound up, you got tied up, and it's also, that's Sarah, the word for distress. And y'all already know, they put him in fetters, Matthew 27. And his sin was hid, and you already know, and that is hid from hide or hidden from discovery. The sorrows of a travailing woman shall come upon him. He's an unwise son. He shall not stay long in the place of the breaking forth of sons. I will ransom them for the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. O death, I will be your plagues. O grave, I will be your destruction, and repentance is hid from my eye. So you remember, right? We were talking about what's in Exodus, that I have raised you up, that his name might be known. See, he raised Yahushua up, and all those plagues hit him, so his name might be known. Come on back to Exodus 5, man, so y'all can just see what's going on again with that, for the rehashing of such, because that is a matter that I have intended to do for years, and we have not done. Exodus chapter 5. I'm sorry, Exodus 9. That's what was that, not 5. Exodus 9, my apologies. 9 and 13. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh and say unto him, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of the Abarim, let my people go that they may serve me. For I will this time send all my plagues upon your heart and upon your servants and upon your people, that you may know that there is none like me in all the earth. For I will stretch out my hand that I will smite you and your people with pestilence, and you shall be cut off from the earth. And in the very deed for this cause have I raised you up, for to show in you my power, that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. Now, we know what he told his apostles, right? Well, let's look in John 17 and what he's told his apostles when they come to that, his name being declared. 17:6. Slow, man. Shoot, amen. Ain't nothing wrong with that, my G. Nothing wrong with that. John 17:6. I have manifested your name unto the men which you gave me. I was trying to put that on. Well, you should have been doing what you were supposed to be doing. You almost made a major mistake. I have manifested your name unto the men which you gave me out of the world. Thine they were, you gave them me, and they have kept your word. Now they have known that you have that all things whatsoever you have given me are of you. I have given unto them the words which you gave me. They have received them, and they have known that surely I come out from you, and that you have believed that you did send me. He said he gave him that word, man, so that they could go. And what did his apostles go out and do? Let that be known throughout all the earth that he raised up Yahusha and plagued him, so that they may know that the Father is the living Elohim and the creator of all. See, that's a whole nother conversation. We'll probably flow into that more as the Shabbat roll around, but not this evening. We don't have the time, honestly. When we come back around here, right, got Hosea 13 out the way. We was talking about this stuff in Ezekiel 32, and I still need to hit the point of what we even started with in Proverbs 26. But come over here to Revelation 13. 13. So again, let me reference all of the people again in Ezekiel 32, what we're looking at here. You have Ashur or Assyria, as most of you know. That is a step. This is a son of Shem now, ancestor of the Assyrians. So I want you to know that Ashur is one of Shem's descendants. Again, we have Elam, which is eternity, which is another one of Shem's descendants. So you got Israelites and you got Assyrians. Then he come right around, he give you Meshach and Tubal. We might have to go back to Ezekiel 38 for that. You got Meshach, that's the drawing out. Remember, this is the son of Japheth. This is a Gentile. They run with Magog. Everybody know about Gog and Magog. They like to tell you that's Russian people. Of course, you got Tubal. You got, though, you shall be brought. Again, this is a Gentile. Y'all know who Edom is. Ain't no sense of talking about that. You got the Zidonians. You got a Hamite. This going to make us have to go on back around to Ezekiel 30, to Psalms 83. And then, of course, you end with Pharaoh. Now, when you live with Pharaoh here, they don't make a distinction of the Egyptians, even though you know this is the title of the king of the Egyptians. And, of course, Pharaoh means a great house. So that should even make it even look, Exodus 9 look any different when he said, I will make my name known in this great house. You know what I'm saying? As far as the gospel is concerned. But now you have Hamites, you have Edomites, which again is a son of Shem. Notice that all the enemies, for the most part, are sons of Shem, but you got little Gentiles, you got all that. Let's come to Psalms 83 on general principle, and let me see who remembers what Psalm 83 was actually conveying and not the common thing that is put out there. Psalms 83. He said, keep not, O silence, O Elohim, hold not your shalom, be not still, Elohim, for your enemies make atonement, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. Atonement. Hamah, they have growled, they have murmured, they are boisterous, they are turbulent. They're running their mouths. Let's look at Ezekiel 35. We still holding Revelation 13 and Psalms 83. If we're going to do something, we got to bring it all together, all at the same time. Y'all know what's in Ezekiel 35 because we didn't talk about it. Ezekiel 35 and 13. And it says, thus with your mouth have you boasted against me and have multiplied your words and against me, and I have heard them. So you can go back a little bit. Basically, you can see in verse 10, it's telling you that a particular, specifically Edom, was selling out and blaspheming. And he said they was running their mouth and I heard them. So when you see your enemies make atonement, they are running their mouth against Yahuwah. That's what they're doing. You have to look at it and take it for exactly what it says. They're running their mouth. Psalms 83 and 3. They have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against your hidden ones. When we look at crafty, we have a ram that's a shrewd, prudent. So guess what? They're moving like a serpent. Counsel is sold. So you know this is a council or an assembly or a secret council of people. And when you got consulted against your hidden ones, you have your odds for consulted. They have devised a plan. They have conspired. Your hidden ones is Safan, and this is your treasure that you have stored up. So they have sought to take a treasure. Now, I think we did it when the last time we did it as this pertains to Yahushua with the scribes and the Pharisees, and of course, with the people against Yahushua upon his return. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasharal may be no more in remembrance. So, of course, you know this to take you back to Jeremiah when he tells you that these people seek to cause the people of Yasharal to cease from before Elohim. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you. We've already talked about yachts. With one consent is Lev. So they've done it with one heart. With one heart. Pause. Revelation 17. Revelation 17 and 9. Shoot, man, make it 7 on general principle. Revelation 17 and 7. And the angel said unto me, wherefore did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carry her, which have the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. They that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of the life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. For those who are not aware of what that was and is not and yet is means, is that remember Satan was, but he is not Elohim, yet he is portraying himself to be Elohim, because that is in reference to when Yahushua said what he said. And I'm going to say it wrong, so let me go ahead and get it. In Revelation chapter 1. Where's it at? I missed it. I think I hate when that happens. Oh, I'm looking right at it. And there it is, because I know I was looking right at it. Right there in verse 4, when he said, which is, which was, and which is to come. Because he was Elohim in the beginning. He was manifested in the flesh, and he assumed to come later. That's why I have the difference. This is something that we discussed previously as well. That, yeah, he was, but he is not. But yet he is portraying himself to be Elohim. He's letting you know, don't get got. Because all these brews out here talking all this extra stuff, nations this and nations that, white man this, and the government this and the government that. And at the end of the day, Satan trying to pretend to be Elohim, trying to pretend to be the Son of God, trying to pretend to be Yahusha. And if you don't know the gospel, you won't get God. That's why he told you if it was possible, he would deceive the very elect. Because the very elect know the gospel of Yahusha. They have the witness and the testimony of the Lamb. Those who don't gonna get gotten, they gonna worship the beast. And all these dudes talking all this other stuff, man, that don't mean nothing about nothing. And niggas is not gonna be prepared. You're not gonna be prepared, and you're gonna get got. At the end of the day, if you got, you were supposed to get got, because clearly your name wasn't written in the Lamb's Book of Life. And who am I to stop the plan of Elohim? Let his plan be manifested, his name be esteemed, and let all his works be praised, because every single solitary last one of them are righteous. Let's continue. Verse 9 of Revelation chapter 17. And here's the mind which have wisdom, the 7 heads of 7 mountains on which the women sit. And here are the 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, the other is not yet come. And when he come, he must continue for a short space. And the beast that was and is not, and even is the 8th, and is of the 7, go into perdition. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings, 1 hour with the beast. They have one mind or one heart, like you've seen in Psalms 83, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords, King of kings, and they that are with him are called, chosen, and faithful. And he said unto them, the waters which you saw where the horse sit are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Elohim had put in their hearts to fulfill his will, to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until all the words of Elohim shall be fulfilled. See, so that you got to understand something. And we could go reference this in Daniel 11 with Elam, because Israelites who going to be with him. Play with, let me go and get it now, because I don't want nobody to be like this here. People around here thinking, oh, all the brews going to be fighting this. No, them niggas going to be right there with it. Don't be deceived. Don't let these boys run no game on you. You ain't got to believe nothing. I say you can be pro-black and believe niggas is above reproach, and them niggas going to kill you. Because if they killed the Lord, I don't know what make you think they're not going to kill you when he told you if they hate me, they're going to hate you also. Whosoever hate me, hate my Father. Because at the end of the day, this ain't got nothing to do with your skin pigmentation or who loins you emanate from. It's about if you with Elohim or the adversary. Are you with the living God or are you with the devil? It's just that simple. There's no in between. That's why he told you, he that commits sin is of the devil. He that is born of Elohim sin not. He's saying this, we know the sons of Elohim and the sons of the devil. He says it's manifest, it's plain. There's no hiding, there's no guessing. Oh, you don't know nobody's heart. Man, that's whole talk. That's what women say. You know, he's got potential. He can be a good man. This nigga robs. You got a lot of homegirls, they be telling them lies to themselves, don't they? He's a good man. Nigga ain't married you in 15 years, but he a good man. He been with you for 15 years. I ain't made his wife, but he a good man. He loves me good, long time. That's what the book said. The book said you could tell it's plain. We don't want to make it plain because then you have to make plain yourself in your own heart. And that's what frightens people. People say, wow, you being judgmental. Ain't nobody being nothing. You judging yourself because your works make manifest who you are, who you belong to. Nobody got to judge you. You judge yourself. Daniel chapter 11. You could pick it up at verse 29. Daniel 11:29. At the time appointed, he shall return and come towards the south. It shall not be as the former or as the latter, for the ships of Shittim shall come against him. Therefore shall he be grieved and return and listen what? And have indignation against the Kadash covenant. So shall he do. He shall return and have intelligence with them that forsake the Kadash covenant. Let me tell you something. The Assyrians and the Zidonians and the Edomites, they can't forsake a covenant they ain't got no agreement to. So who else is forsaking it? When Yahushua gave his warning in Matthew 24, who was he talking to? He was talking to Bruce. Let's take a look at it so you know, because I don't want you to be around here having no thoughts or no doubts in your brain on what we talking about. You ain't got to like it, but it say what it say. No, I don't want to buy a hoodie. Thank you. I live in Florida. We're almost out the neck of the woods of when it's going to be cool. We only have about 13 more days of time where we guaranteed cool. It's gonna be hot. Nigga with bad breath. Ain't that right, little muffin? Do you like it when it's hot? Do you like it when it's cold?
Usually hot because it's hot outside. Cool.
Oh, you did all of that. You were scared to say that when it's hot, you like to go to the pool. It's fine if you like to go to the pool.
Only if it's
Oh, only if it's open. COVID said it's not going to make it open. Matthew chapter 24, verse 10. Make it 9. Then they shall deliver you up and be afflicted. They shall kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. You're not going to be hated because you're a brute. I've been telling you that for years. You're going to be hated because of Yahusha. Because this man is going to be telling people he God, and you're going to be telling people he ain't. But we're not ready for that conversation because you want to be hated because you're black and not for who and what you stand for. You people out here don't care nothing about you being black. They ain't doing nothing but what anybody has done in any kingdom in the history of mankind, keeping the people who are under their servitude in servitude. When you were in power, you kept people in servitude. It doesn't benefit you to let people run you in your own land. I don't even know why people think that. You've never seen that in history where people have let strangers rule alongside of them. Strangers didn't rule alongside of you when you were in your land. They were in servitude to you. And one thing for certain, two things for sure, Solomon made sure of that. He made sure of that nobody that was not of your lineage was going to be standing up serving with you on no equal footing and plane. You only feel like they in this day and time because you want Mr. Charlie to love you. You want him to hug you and tell you that you matter because you have a sick infatuation with Mr. Charlie when you should have that level of infatuation and desire for your God, but you don't. Because that ain't got nothing to do with Mr. Charlie. He's just a manifestation of the love you ought to be giving Yahuwah. But you mad with Yahuwah because you ain't did what you were supposed to do. You like an embittered woman who feels that she's entitled to things that she doesn't deserve because her conduct is not dictated that she should be rewarded with it. So now you mad with your husband because he kept his standard and maintained his boundaries. Because you don't want no man to have any boundaries. You don't want him to have any standards. You want him to take him as a raggedy, no good, sorry, slothful, wicked bastard that you are. And he's telling you, I will not. That is not what I desire. That does not please me. But you want it to please him. And you're mad because it doesn't. Don't you think people turn on Yahuwah, man? They want him to accept the sissy, the whoremonger, the liar, the idolater, the thief, the blasphemer. They want him to accept that. And he's saying, no, I need the just, the pure, the merciful, the compassionate, the faithful. But nobody wants to give him that. Then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. Many false prophets shall arise and deceive many. And because of iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. He that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. This Basar of the Malkuth shall be preached into all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. Let's drop down a little bit. Verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such not was since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be short, there shall no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And if any man shall say unto you, here is Mashiach, there believe it not. For there shall arise false Mashiachs, false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. You gotta understand, son, who had prophets and who had an anointed one? Only Yasharal. Not for the world. It's not for the world. And you should know that from Deuteronomy 13, what we read earlier about false prophets arising, showing signs and wonders, trying to get you to forsake the covenant of Elohim. Don't let nobody lie to you. The people gonna lie to you now. And one thing for certain, you ain't gonna be able to say I did. Let's go back to Daniel 11:31. When you read for that word in the intelligence of Aramaic, it means to teach. He's going to teach people to forsake the Kadash covenant. And arms shall stand on his part. They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and they shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that make desolate. And I didn't read that about that in Daniel, but there it is. That man gonna make the place of Elohim a detestable and abhorrent place, because you're going to be making sacrifices to him, because he gonna say he God. That's what he mean when you see this man standing in Jerusalem and say he God, man, get from out of there. You know it's going down. Don't worry about niggas sacrificing pigs and goats. Nigga, that's gonna be the least of your problems. So when them texts and teaching people to forsake the Kadash covenant, which is the covenant of the blood of Mashiach, and want you to forsake the covenant of grace of which you've been sanctified, and you saying people he alive, that's gonna have you be a marked person. That's why you're gonna be hated by all nations for his name's sake. Not because you run around telling people you are Israelite. Newsflash, nobody cares. Nobody cares. But you ain't got to believe me, because I know I'm only one person who's telling you that nobody cares in the grand scheme of things. Killed because they serve Yahuwah. But nobody want to have that conversation, because none of these coward niggas gonna stand for Yahuwah when that time comes. They talking all that gangster stuff, but when they come down to do like what them three young men did in the book of Daniel, well, they're not gonna go in that line, they're not gonna go in that fiery furnace. When it comes time to say I'm gonna open up my curtains like Daniel and pray to Elohim 3 times a day like I've been doing, these niggas gonna pray in private, hoping that they ain't seen. That's what y'all not considering and understanding. When it go down and you got to openly proclaim. See, it's easy now to say you got your Yahuwah chain on and Yahuwah t-shirts on and your hats and this, that, and the third. But is you gonna be willing to do that when that could cost you your life though? Will you keep your chain on or will you duck it? Ain't that right, little Muffin? Mm-hmm. Listen what he say in verse 32. And such as wickedly do against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their Elohim shall be strong and do exploits. Exploits is not there. I forgot what it was. We looked that up a long time ago. Exploits is not there. We still holding Psalms 83, and I'm going to complete that before we leave here. Yeah, because exploits is not there. So it's work. Simply aside. They are going to do their work. All it says, not exploits, they shall be strong and do the work of Elohim. And they that understand among the people shall instruct me, that they shall fall by the sword, by flame, by captivity, spoil many days. Now when they shall fall, they shall be hoping with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And of course, flatteries is fine promises, smoothness. And some of them of understanding shall fall to try them, to purge, to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it's yet for a time appointed. So you understand something? The people who got the word are going to get killed. Because it said those of them who have understanding. So those who know the text, or who have the shakal, the prudence, who are wise, who understand, who have the insight and the comprehension, and the teachers to be wise, to give insight, they're going to be killed. Wowzers. $340 million. So I guess you know what happened to his soul. He gave it away for 14 years and $340 million. He gave his soul away. Why are you laughing? That's not a good deal. That's a saddening matter. Because now he'll never get a chance to meet you. Not in peace anyway. Back to Psalms 83. And it's not the byproduct because he has the money, but because what he's involved in, more than likely what he had to do or what he is going to have to do. Because he's a young man. He's a young man, young baseball player. I remember his father. His name is Fernando Tatis Jr. His father used to play for the Mets. Boom, 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 boom. We're in verse 6, Psalms 83. The tabernacles of Edom The Ishmaelites of Moab, of Hagranes, of Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, Ashurs also joined with them. They have made hope in the sons of Lot, Selah, do unto them as unto the Midianites. You know what happened to the Midianites? Slaughtered. As to Sisera, we talked about that. You know what happened to him? Nail in the forehead. As to Jabin at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor, and they became the dung of the earth. Notice that all the people that they're referring to are people who rose up against Yasharal. All of these people who rose up also blasphemed the name of Yahuwah in doing so. Of course, if you're not familiar with the witch of Endor, you know what I'm saying? You go take a look at all that. Make their nobles as Orab and Zeb, and yea, all the princes of Zebah, and as Salumina, who said, let us take ourselves the houses of Elohim in possession. O Elohim, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burn of wood, and as the flames set the mountains on fire. So persecute them with your tempest, and make them afraid with your storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek the name of Yahuwah. Let them be confounded in trouble forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that you, whose name alone is Yahuwah, are the most high over all the earth. Now let's come over here to Revelation 19, and then we'll grab some of Proverbs 26 or what we started with, because I gave you some of the back end stuff with Judas, but we'll get the first two verses of which this video is named, and then we will depart. Revelation 19 and 11, and then back to Proverbs chapter 26 afterwards. So you can get you Proverbs 26 now. 26 and 18, if you would. But Revelation 19 and 11. I saw Shamahim open, behold, a white horse. He that sat upon him was called faithful and true. In righteousness he do judge and make war. Let's look at verse 17. And I saw an angel stand in the sun. He cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Elohim, that you may eat the flesh of kings, the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men, the flesh of horses, of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. That's what you saw in Ezekiel 32. Their end, which we're about to read, that's what you see in Psalms 83. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that worked miracles before him, which deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, whose sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. And you notice that it kept saying that all those people in Ezekiel 32 were slain with what? The sword. These are people who gathered up to go to war against Yahushua, and he killed every single last one of them, Israelites included. And if you pay attention, he got all three sons. He got the sons of Shem, he got the sons of Ham, he got the sons of Japheth. Because remember, he said judgment has started at the house of Elohim. Well, he got everybody. See, the text bear witness to the text. It ain't no joke, it ain't no game. Because we want to believe that Israelites are above reproach. But there's Israelites who going to gather up with the beast and fight with him as well. If they gathered up to take Yahushua to Pilate, you think they're not going to do that at the end? Don't be no fool. Proverbs 26 and 18. It says, as a madman who casts firebrands, arrows, and death. When you look at a mad man, this has simply mad. That is someone who's a madman, rabid, language, faint, or mad. It is laha, lamad, and double haze. But firebrands, that take you back to something that's in the book of Judges. But firebrands is a coat. That's a spark or a missile, or chains or fetters. So you can sit back and you have fetters or cuffs, if you will. Arrows is cots, which of course y'all know that's an arrow, and you know that they shot arrows at the perfect in private, as it tell you in Psalms. And then of course you have death. So a mad or a faint or a crazy man comes through with chains, arrows, and death. He say, so is the man that deceive his neighbor and say, am I not sport? So when you got deceived, you have Ramah, and this is someone who beguiles or misleads. So you have a deceiver and deceived his neighbor, which is Ra'ah, which is friend. which remember they take you back to where we referenced in Deuteronomy 13, or your friend who is of your own soul, who say that I am not sakak, which is to mock or to play sport or to jest. So what we're looking at, and we'll go into it in more detail, you were willing on the Shabbat, is this is Judas, because he was that mad man who cast the missiles, who brought the fetters and brought forth death and deceived his friend, because he said it was my familiar friend who have lifted up his heel against me. If you're not familiar with what I speak, come over here to Psalm 41. Yahushua quoted it itself, but come over here to Psalm 41 and come over here to verse 9. Now, when you got for friend here, you have ish or man. So it is a familiar man. Matter of fact, on this one here, it's shalom. So it's a peaceful man. So it's a man he believed he was at peace with, which should take you to another song when he say where he was at, he come with peace, but his mouth is smooth as oil. He said, yea, my own familiar friend in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, have lifted up his heel against me. But you, O Yahuwah, be merciful unto me and raise me up that I might requite them. Look at what he asked. Raise him up that he might be able to give them a complete and sound compensation, or to repay or to requite. Since you sought my life, let me pay you back with what you sought. By this I know that you favor me, because my enemy do not triumph over me. We just seen that in 1 Corinthians 15 earlier. And as for me, you uphold me in my integrity. You set me before your face forever. Baruch be Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, from everlasting to everlasting. Amen. Amen. But notice, this peaceful man who he had confidence in, which did eat of his bread, has lifted up that heel. Why you think he sat back and tell you, brother shall turn against brother? Y'all think it's a game. And if it's a peaceful friend did it to him, what make you think it ain't gonna happen to you? Y'all know what Psalm 55 said. We talked about that not too long ago. He said, if it was an enemy, I could have hid myself. But it's a man whom I took sweet counsel with into the house of Elohim, my equal, my guide, my acquaintance. And we walking around here looking stupid. And remember when it said my acquaintance, that's Yada. That's somebody he knew by experience. By experience. So when you look at sport, and Judas mocked the man. He was right there with them people till he got convicted in his heart. Hallelujah for Yahushua. We got to get out of here. It's almost 9 o'clock. I appreciate y'all time to see, and I bless y'all at the house of Elohim. We have a lot more to go through. Like I said, we talked about the back end of Proverbs 26, but we'll go ahead and run it down. It all relates. I came over this way. I needed something in Proverbs that was going, because what we had in Songs of Solomon was really not going to be appropriate enough for what we had in Ezekiel 32 to do that. Didn't know which verse I wanted to choose. Found that verse in Proverbs 26. It made it acceptable for us to do so. That's where we're going to roll at. I'm going to roll that down. We're going to roll that out. We'll let some understanding get brought, and we will see what shall happen in regards to his enemies, the things that could go on the end, because we will probably isolate more of those people in regards to Elam, Assyria, Edom, and all them people, because Pharaoh is representative of the beast. And, we've been in a lot of stuff with the beast from time to time. You have to go back and talk about him so you can see how you're going to kick his game so you don't get God. So, again, blessings out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate y'all time. Who are willing, we'll pick it up on the Shabbat and do it.